Okay, here is the first lesson about my Fibonacci system for trading the ES, day trading the ES. Okay, let me start by saying that the way I draw fibs is if you're in an uptrend, then I draw them from low to high. And if you're in a downtrend, well, then I draw them from, say here, in this case it will be from high to low. Okay, what this means is that for my particular fib tool, the levels that are in the direction of the trend are or have negative values. Okay, so if you're looking at this fib right here, price was moving down. This represents 100% of the down move. So if it moves back up to here, it has retraced 23.6% of what it moved down, 50% of the down move, 76.4% of the down move, and if it gets up to here, then it has moved or retraced 100% of what it originally moved in a downward direction. Okay, so since we're measuring the retracements with positive values, therefore the extensions need to have negative values. That's why I use negative 23.6% and negative 50%. The reason I am explaining this is because some other tools would call this the 76.4% level, this 100%, this 0%, this 23.6%, this would be 123.6 and 150%. Okay, so depending on how your tool draws the fibs, you would have to adjust the levels. Okay, now let's go back to this fib right here. Now the levels that I use. Okay, let me start with the 100% level. In fibs that are measuring an up move, the 100% level is going to represent the pivot low, and the 0% level is going to represent the pivot high, and vice versa for down moves. In down moves, the 100% level would represent the pivot high, and the 0% level would represent the pivot low. Okay, now let me start off with the 0% level. This can be used as a second target if you're trading with multiple lots. I will discuss the entries later, but this can be used as a second target. You can front run this level by one tick and set your target there for your second lot. Okay, let me start now. Let's go next to the entry. Okay, the entry level or the entry order I place at the 50% level. Now I know the 50% level is not a Fibonacci number, but both Gann and Wyckoff talked about the importance of the 50% retracements halfway back, and therefore that is where I usually enter my trades. I usually front run this level by one tick, so that means that if price hits this level, I know I'm gonna get filled. Sometimes price bounces right off the 50% level, so if you place your order at the 50% level, you might not get filled. Tick. Now this has some implications on the risk to reward ratio, which I will talk about later. Okay, so my entry in this case, since we're in an up move, I'm gonna place my limit order, a limit buy order at 1340.75. Okay, and now the 23.6% level is the first target, or the target, absolute target, so to speak, if you're just gonna if you're not gonna scale out of your trade. Okay, so entry is 50% level plus a tick. The first target, or my target, would be at the 23.6% level on the line. If you want to play it safe, you can front run this level by 1 tick as well, but as you know, that's also going to reduce the reward to risk ratio. Now for my stop, I use the 76.4% level. Place my stop right at this level. Okay. Now, since I trade off the depth of market, what I usually do is when price starts to retrace, I program a bracket order on the DOM. So in this case, I would place my entry at 1340.75. That's where I'd have my limit buy order. Then I would set a target, or a profit target, of 6 ticks, which would place my limit sell order at 1342.25, and I would have my stop loss would be 8 ticks. So I would place my stop loss at the 1338.75 level. Okay, and that's how I enter. Now if you're trading with multiple lots, what I recommend is that once you reach the first target, you can move the stop loss to break even, or to break even plus 1, while you wait if your second target is hit, or you get stopped out. Okay, and now the negative 23.6% level and the negative 50% level are levels that I use to determine whether I'm going to move the 0%, move to a new pivot high, move the 0% level, or I'm just going to draw a completely new fib. Okay, but I'm going to talk about that later once I get to how to draw the fibs. Right now I'm talking about the different levels that are used. Okay, now so front running by 1 tick the 50% level, what this implies as far as money management is that you're gonna have a profit target that's gonna be smaller than your stop loss. Okay, in this case we had a 6 tick profit and then 8 tick stop loss. So your risk to reward ratio is gonna be a little bit below 1. And now this is also going to vary, since the Fibonacci tool I have right here rounds to the nearest tick. Then sometimes the 76.4% level would be here, 1338.75. Sometimes it would be at 1339, depending on how it's rounded, or where it's rounded to. Okay, so sometimes the difference between your stop and your profit target is going to be anywhere from 2 to 1 ticks, from 1 tick to 2 ticks. Okay, so just so you know, the risk to reward ratio is not going to be 1 to 1. It's going to be slightly lower, okay, when you're entering the trade. So if you feel comfortable with this, then you can go ahead and trade like this. Otherwise, you can just set your entries right at the 50% level, and if you do so, then you will probably have a 1 to 1 risk to reward ratio, unless, like I said, sometimes since the levels are rounded to the nearest tick, then sometimes your stop is going to be 1 tick larger than your profit, or sometimes your profit is going to be 1 tick larger than your stop. That's if you decide to enter at the 50% level instead of front running by 1 tick.